of the teaching of the practice. And of course, the idea with all of this is that we fully experience, we fully embody one half. That is, we completely exhale, we completely relax, we completely release, and we experience that. And then we completely experience the flip side of that, which is inhale, which is waking up, which is energizing. And that by focusing on both, then we bring them into balance, or we come into balance with that rhythm. It's a better way to say it. And when all of those qualities are in balance, then there's this transcendent thing that happens, which is not esoteric. It's just what are we taking in, and what are we releasing? Okay. And of course, the answer is energy of some kind, right? So there's an energy of birth, there's an energy of death, and that energy is chi. So that's the in bringing the two halves into balance, into dynamic balance, and being very aware of each of them. Then there's an awareness that transcends this interplay of opposites. So in the case of breathing, you have in-breath. Well, you can't have in-breath without out-breath. So you have in-breath, you have out-breath, and then the transcendent quality is life. That's what's moving. Okay. So yeah, all right. Well, let's go ahead and begin. Put this on speaker view for the benefit of our YouTube followers. I'm not sure who you all are, but there were 25 of you last time, so welcome to you too. And since I got a good positive response from last week's, we'll be doing a little more of this in silence, because you're pretty familiar with a lot of these postures and movements. So just begin, as I am, or as you feel. And these are two of the most common beginning movements. And of course, you can do them together at the same time. So if we look at Trembling Mountain, this is very much a releasing. And even the way this is taught is that this is a release of what the ancients called unhealthy chi. And it brings on relaxation. Of course, in every yin there is yang, and vice versa. So we can't, release is generally going down, and enlivening is going up. So if we just release, we just go down, well, okay, well, what now? So now we got to go back up. So, but this is considered a letting go. This is really effective if you need to let go of stress. Anxiety, tension, strong emotion. This is a releasing. And one of the descriptions of this is that everything is falling down. It's dropping away into the earth. including blockages inside the body. They're going into the earth. My teacher Ken Cohen says this is compost. We're releasing this stuck energy or tension. We're releasing it into the earth as compost. And so this as all releasing ones, this focuses more on the out breath. So as you're doing this practice, you want to bring attention to the breath, and particularly the out breath. And by that I mean the out breath will be longer. If you like visualizations, if you have an active imagination, you can imagine, like, however you imagine this, but something like dark energy flaking off, going down, or old skin cells flaking off, or hair follicles coming out, just stuff that's not needed going down and just dropping. And if you're auditory, I mean, this can be like, there can be sound, things dropping, glass breaking or ice falling off and melting off, or however you want to do it. But however you want to get the mind involved is good. And if you're not into the visualizing, then keep the mind on the sensations in the body and the breath. And we can use the breath practices with this. Well, actually, let's do this another few seconds and then we'll stop. Okay, and just slow down and just come to stillness. So the breath practices are the most basic form of enlivening and releasing. So we just bring attention to the movement of the body with the breath. Everyone can do that. And now these breath practices, the pranayama in the yogic tradition, in the Taoist tradition. So we're going to breathe in from some place in the body and breathe out either that same place or another place. So this is up to you. But let's say we'll breathe in through the top of the head. And you're feeling it and visualizing it. What would it feel like to do this? Breathe in from the top of the head, fill the body, and then breathe out through the bottoms of the feet. Then breathe in through the bottoms of the feet. Breathe out, top of the head. So that's one way to do it. You can also do a cycle. So breathe in from the bottoms of the feet, out the top of the head, back around, in through the bottoms of the feet, out the top of the head. So this is like a microcosmic orbit breathing. So if you've seen these fountain or these old bubblers that used to be on the corner, so if you breathe in bottoms of the feet, and then it bubbles up the top of the head, And then it comes down all around the body, and then repeat. Okay, so this is an enlivening practice. We're breathing up through the center of the body, but then we're breathing down all around the body, not in the body. So this would be an awakening practice, an enlivening, focusing more on the in-breath. Okay, and you can feel this movement upward is enlivening, and it pulls the body up. It strengthens the posture. Okay, and now let's just as an experiment. So let's breathe now in through, down through the top of the head, out the feet, and then the in breath comes up all around the body. So this would be more of a relaxing or releasing. We're focusing a little more on the out breath. These are very useful to use in sitting meditation, in particular if you start getting sleepy. Now let's see if we can maintain this and do trembling mountain. Just do it gently. So this is really good aid. Body, breath, and mind are in harmony right away. So body, breath, and mind are no longer three different things. It's just this one, just this practice. Okay, let's let go of the bouncing. So you can decide, what do I need to do more? Do I want to enliven? So you're going to breathe up from the earth. That's enlivening, let it go down all around. Or do I want to release or relax? Breathe down. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. And let's move a little bit now. Now, if you want to, you can stay with some of those breath visualizations, or just focus on the breath. Just feel it. That's all. Okay. All right. Very good. And now let's add the hands. So the enlivening one, where we breathe in through the bottoms of the feet, out the top of the head, and then down all around the body. So that's tree and spring. So in breath, out breath. You're just dancing this breath. And you don't have to do inhale up, exhale down. You can do it more slowly if you want to. Okay, so you see how tree and spring, this is the first full day of spring today. Is that second day? Anyway, so this is enlivening. We're bringing up from the earth, and then it's coming down around the body, but it's coming up through the body. That's what we're pointing out the top of the head and release, and then all down. So this is the relaxing, enlivening, in breath, being born, relaxing, letting go, dying. So body, breath, and mind, not only in harmony with each other, but in harmony with this basic flow of birth, life, death, birth, life, death. Okay, so it's where the hands are pointing. So this is hands are pointing, starting at the bottom, coming up. This is enlivening. Then the hands are pointing out all around. This is relaxing, returning. So you see, okay. And now, tree in autumn, very similar, rising up from round, and now going down through the body. Clearing, relaxing, letting go. In breath. And the intention is to relax, let go. So you see, this is very different from just doing the movement. And let's just rest. This is doing the movement fully with complete intention and balancing body, breath, and mind. It's truly a meditation. It harmonizes the body, breath, and mind. And it also harmonizes with the Dharma, with the forces of nature. So someone can be doing the same movement as you are, but their mind isn't there. So that they're getting some benefit, certainly. But when you understand the balancing of body, breath, and mind, that's where the life force energy then becomes very clear. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and bow to the directions. So starting with east or whichever one you're starting with. And then turning to the south. Turning to the west. and to the north. And back to the first position. Above. Below. And with it. Okay, and head, neck, and shoulders. So I think of these really as releasing because they're releasing tension. And if you do this from time to time throughout your day, particularly the shoulders, for me anyway, it might be different for you, but I'll just, at odd times during the day, I'll just do this. And sure enough, there's tension there that gets released. You know, it's just maintenance, really. So you might want to try that. Just see what happens. Often, when you stop and do this, you just release. Then you'll take a big breath, just naturally, because there's this relief. There's this release. Okay. Okay. Now, so this is usually taught that this is an out breath. In breath is opening, filling up. Out breath. Bending at the waist, releasing. And that's fine. You can also do it the other way around. It's called reverse breathing. This really helps to bring the body, breath, and mind together. If we're just standing or sitting still and we focus on the breath, the mind, may tend to wander. If we're moving, it engages the mind more. So we're more likely to remain with the body and the breath. And then do this as deeply, as expressively as you want to. You can really throw your arms out. My teacher, Tricia Yu, calls this ta-da. It's just, there are some schools of Qigong where you do sounds. Oh, I was never taught those, but it's all good. And if you do it with vigor, it's enlivening, right? And then we relax. And if we do it more gently, well, you can feel it feels different. Has a different effect. So that's what I'm saying. So do these movements as you need to, just what feels good. Don't be constrained by the way someone else is doing them. Okay. Okay, and then loosening the hips. It's just been my experience, and yours may be different. But when I first started doing Tai Chi and Qigong all those years ago, I had chronic lower back problems, pain, and so on. I was seeing a chiropractor a lot. And once I learned these and practiced, did the Tai Chi movements and so on, knock wood, but I think I've been to a chiropractor in those 30 years. I think I've been to a chiropractor twice, but that's just my experience. Do these balance ones according to your ability and your needs. So if you don't feel real stable, just keep your big toe on the ground, and that's fine. And then maybe a little after a while you can lift it off. But that's is perfectly fine. And then bend the weighted knee a little bit will make it easier. And then as your confidence increases, your balance, then you can begin to move the unweighted leg. Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay. So there are certain practices specifically for releasing. Okay. There's a number of them. One of the most powerful ones. So I'll show you. And again, why do you want to do this? You want to do this to clear your field, to clear your emotions. If you're undergoing stress of some kind, okay. So the first one, come up into the begging dog, okay. So dip the knees. That's the first part. Then the hands are going to go out, palms forward. Okay, that's the next part. And now we're going to expel the breath. So this is a breath practice. We're expelling the breath through the laogung, through the middle of the palm here. Okay. So, and we do that until we're out of breath, but don't faint. So the last part is, and then withdraw and down. Okay, so we'll do this together. Okay. So you can breathe with your mouth open. It's one of the few times it's encouraged. Okay. So you've just come out of some encounter or you've had some experience, you just need to release, let go of it. So you're really going to fill up your lungs. When we used to meet in person, we'd meet in a circle and everyone would do this toward the middle and people would say, but they're spraying it at me, you know, what's happening? And Ken Cohen says, no, you're shooting it out the hands and it's going right down into the earth as compost. So this is just releasing anything you need to. This is wildly effective. Okay. Let's do it one more time. Hey, don't overdo it. You get lightheaded. So that's the extreme. Okay. And then there are abbreviated versions of that. Okay. Where the most subtle is this. You gotten out of the shower, you're wet, you shake the water off your hands. It's just that gesture. And as you do this more, this little gesture will be a signal to the body that this is the whole body's releasing. So that's just, you know, you shake your head, you know, that's like trembling mountain. So that's the subtle form of it. There's another one. I'm not sure this is releasing. It was taught this way, but it has to do with punching. So this is right out of martial arts. So it's okay. So if you're doing this as a release. You want to build up the air in your lungs. So take a deep breath. And then as you shoot it out, you're going to sit down. Okay. And the fists are up like this, and then you twist, and then you come back. Okay. So let's do it together. Take a deep breath. Actually, the name of that is Dragon Returns from the Sea. I'm not sure why, but that's what it's called. Anything where you're bending at the waist and forcing breath out is going to be primarily a releasing. So for instance, if we do boat rowing in the stream of air, okay, so in breath, so you can do it either way. If you breathe out when you bend, that's a real release. Because the folding of the body forces the air out. If you breathe in, you're releasing to the back. And that's fine too. Okay. And a more basic releasing, that we do all the time is this trembling mountain. Doing that is just wildly helpful. Um, Sometimes when we're practicing for a while, or maybe not even that long, we actually, the teachers say that you can create too much chi in your body. You can get so energized that you can't handle it. And so any of those, or even this, while you're practicing this, you'll just naturally do it. You'll see how effective it is. Okay, and so just by using intention, you can use many of these movements for either releasing or enlivening. So for instance, we just do the 8 brocade, one of the 8 brocades here. So if we focus on the out breath, when the palms go forward, this is a little bit like that dragon returning from the sea. It's just much more gentle. Okay. Now this can also be enlivening. So we focus on the in-breath, bringing in, filling up, and then relax. And then so this is sort of enliven and relax. And then if you let go of any intention and just do the practice, it just balances. Breathing in balances breathing out. And it's the same thing with the segue. So as we reduce the movements, we're balancing movement and stillness. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and pull up our stool. And now it's up to you if you want to give a little more weight, a little more attention to the out breath or the in breath, or neither. Okay, so we know the in breath, the breathing has 4 parts. In breath and then a pause, then the out breath and a pause. So first let's focus on releasing, or letting go. And just notice the 4 parts of the breath. And since we're letting go, focus more on the out breath. Okay. But let the out breath be longer. And then rest at the end of the out breath in that pause before the next in breath comes. Let the in breath come by itself. If the space at the end of the out breath is still, it's stillness, there's no movement. Usually the mind is still. And there's a feeling associated with that. And so the next step is to bring that feeling of release, bring it through the whole 4 steps of the breath. One way to do this is to smile a little bit when you're resting at the end of the out breath, and keep the smile. Okay, moving around to the in breath, and then that little pause at the end of the in breath. You're completely full. And then with the out breath, overflow. So just radiate that fullness. And when we do the radiation practices, you radiate in all directions, particularly behind you. Okay, very good. So, and now we'll bring the whole body into this. So go ahead and design your own breath practice. You can breathe in through the bottoms of the feet and then back out the bottoms of the feet. Same thing with the crown of the head. You can breathe through the body, going up, through the body, going down, or any variation. You can use your eyes if you want to. And if you like, you can go into breathing the stars. Okay, and then let's move inside the body, the Qigong. So in breath goes up the spine, or you can do it more slowly. Out breath goes down the inside front of the body. So we're visualizing and feeling. We're feeling this. And then now just, if you want to, just let go of all the practices. Okay, and then finally, when you notice the body, notice the chi, notice the tingling and the warmth without locating it. Okay, very good. Let's take a few more breaths and, just slowly, just gently move your fingers, toes. All right. So let's go ahead and do our closing. Clap one time. 1, 2, 3. Rub your hands. Well, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for your practice. And may the benefits of these practices extend far beyond these individual selves. So if you would like to vanish into thin air, enjoy your evening. If you'd like to stay and chat a little bit, we can do that.
Thank you, Stephen. Good night.
Thank you,
So
Steve.
long.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Okay. So any questions or comments?
I have one.
Sure.
Well, first, I just really appreciate the explanation of like the difference between alivening and sort of releasing. That's really useful. I feel like to understand, and since I'm new to this, to kind of get this feeling for like, how am I feeling? What do I need right now? And then sort of adapt to that. So thanks for that. Because my question is sort of around like, while I'm doing this, I feel very, very, most of the time, very in tune. You say like body, breath, and mind. And I became aware of how often when I'm just in my regular sitting meditation practice that, you know, thoughts are coming up, things are happening, and emotions and all sorts of things. And I'm curious if like this sort of thing would fit into the realm of like shamatha, like the sort of stopping, calming portion of, how would you describe that?
I think it's shamatha and vipassana, but certainly it's shamatha. Yeah, it certainly is. And that's why I recommend doing it for most people before sitting. You know, because it's stopping, you know, has a lot of meanings, but it may mean just letting go of all the tension of your life, you know, that's going on. And it's easier to do that for most of us if we're standing and moving, and it's more difficult if we just plunk ourselves down and now we're just being tortured, you know, by our mind for a while, you know. And eventually you can outlast it, usually, if you sit long enough, or if you have some techniques and so on. I've just found the whole premise of Breathing Earth Qigong is that it is a meditation, I want to say aid, sort of, that's maybe not the right word, but it's very complementary to stillness meditation practices. And I came up with it because I tend to be a very active, physically active person. And so sitting meditation is quite challenging. So if I can sort of get into this, the Dharma with the whole body, then sitting becomes much easier. That's just my experience. Some people aren't that way, but that's why. So much about meditation is how we manage the thinking mind, because the thinking mind is an essential part of awareness, of awakening. It's not to be rejected or destroyed. It just needs to have its proper place, you know, so that it's not dominating our consciousness and dragging us along, but that it's, I mean, you know, the metaphor of having a pet, training a puppy or having a monkey or something is really quite apt in that regard. that, it just needs to know its place. And, if you read the sutras, when the Buddha arrived at this enlightenment, this awakening, thoughts were happening. They just very described very clearly, that Mara comes and is tempting, and they're in the rose apple tree, and there's thinking going on. It's not just this Satori experience where I've dissolved into the universe, and it doesn't say that. And I think that's what happened, but the thinking mind was part of it. That's all I'm saying. And so our attitude toward the thinking mind, it's just very important what Thich Nhat Hanh says, to treat your mind with kindness, because all that crazy thinking, that's called suffering. That's the name of that. And so the mind is suffering. And so then when the adult comes in the room, the meditator, he sees that the baby's crying, or she sees the baby's crying, and picks the baby up, and the baby quiets down. It's that kind of attitude. I think it's very beautiful the way Thich Nhat Hanh describes it. I think that's really true. But our whole society reinforces thinking constantly, thinking and binging and grasping. So we're always up against that, unless we're off on retreat somewhere or something. So that's why we have to kind of keep maintaining that. But yeah.
So, are you using the movements then to distract the mind a little bit in order to get into a flow state?
I wouldn't say distract so much as I'd say focus. I think the mind's probably already distracted,
Okay.
to begin with. And so we're kind of focusing the mind, and it's easier to focus on body movement. You can focus on body stillness too. I mean, it actually gets very, very deep, if you focus on your body, sensations in your body and so on. But moving makes it just much more obvious. It's easier to focus on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the term that she used initially? I wasn't familiar with it.
Shamatha. Shamatha is a Pali term that means something like stopping. So what they say is that the two wings of meditation are shamatha, vipassana. So shamatha means stopping. It just means, this is how I teach shamatha. It just means this: just hold a time out, stop the game, just wait a minute. Let's wait. That's shamatha. And vipassana means
you use the beginning and end of the breath for shamatha.
Oh, there are many things, but yes, yeah, right. You're stopping from your habits. You're stopping being carried away. You're stopping from all your busyness or whatever you're stopping. And then the other part, vipassana, that's insight. So the idea is that when the mind is calm and in harmony with the body and the breath, then the wisdom mind, or the bodhicitta, the deep mind, the big self, becomes more evident. And then we begin to have a different view of everything, and things that used to be problematic, maybe now we have a way to be with them. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a left foot, right foot, shamatha vipassana, and it's not like, okay, I've done shamatha, now I'll do vipassana. It's not that cut and dried, it's like you're always, you're always coming back to the breath or coming back to the body, or staying awake or something. There's always something in it. But is that what you meant by that, Karen?
Yeah, it is. And I feel like, because I remember one week you had us when we were sitting contemplate like a question.
Hmm.
And so I was wondering, like, is that sort of like the Vipassana and of
Right.
things. But what I was just noticing is during the movement and focusing on those different elements of breath, that it really in my body felt like a stopping, even though I was moving. It just felt
Mhm.
like all of those things that are so active a lot of times when I'm just sitting were really not a big presence. So that was why I was curious about that.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. So the thinking mind is still there, but it's just being quiet. Okay, that's a really good, yeah, things come into the foreground or fade into the background. That's a really good way to put it. And so that one class where we then went into Vipassana, because that's very useful. I mean, Thich Nhat Hanh said that, he said mindfulness is useless without insight. I mean, you can be as mindful as you want, and still be doing all kinds of bad stuff. You could just be doing it mindfully, right? So you need the insight part of it, and that requires an intention in that direction. That's the in-breath, I would say. The shamatha is the out-breath. Inspiration, inhalation, and I'd say that's the in-breath. But I'm just making that up. It just
I like
seems appropriate. Yeah. So that's why we did that, because doing these practices, we cultivate that presence, that sense of, I guess, what you would call shamatha, that the time kind of expands. Things have slowed down, and you're really in harmony, and we cultivate that, and that's useful in and of itself. At the same time, we can utilize that by investigation and curiosity, and the things that the whole insight tradition teaches. So yeah, I think it's a good way to get into that.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, insights also come. We make a mistake if we think, oh, now I'm going to do insight practice. Okay, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to get some insights, right? I'm going to get them. It's like going to the grocery store with your cart.
Check that off the list.
Yeah, I need 7 of them, or whatever. And so, insights can come anytime in the most unexpected ways. If we're still enough to receive them. If our mind's too busy, if we're too distracted, we're going to miss a lot of those insights, right? Just in normal life, daily life, But if we're more in that shamatha, a little more in that, then we're more likely to stumble upon them. Yeah, great questions.
Thanks for your 30 years of practice.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet of you to say that. Yeah.
Glad you're still here.
Thank you. Me too. All right. Have a good night.
You too.